记录一下人生的。
Today, I had a major life experience. I was laid off. An emergency meeting was held at 10 a.m., and there were no prior signs. The meeting announced that Citibank's offices in Shanghai and Dalian, specifically the credit card department, were being shut down. 3,500 tech employees are all getting laid off. It's really scary. This is also the first time I've received the company's severance package, N+6, plus an additional 3 months of paid leave. It's actually a pretty good package, but it was a shock. I had planned to retire here. The company was considerate enough to prepare bags for us to pack up our things and leave. So here's my workspace. All I can do now is pack up and go. People online are going wild in the comment section, saying things like, foreign companies are impressive, their compensation is impossible to refuse, far surpassing any domestic companies. N+9 severage is pretty decent. State-owned enterprises still have a long way to go, and a long road ahead without even being able to pay salaries. Some users on Chinese social media platform Douyin also commented that Citi's layoffs aren't just about adjusting the tech and business teams. This might be something bigger.
就在今天啊，花旗银行大裁员了。
Today, Citi is laying off a lot of employees. You might be used to hearing news about layoffs, but this time it's different because the compensation they're offering is huge. For those of us who've been through HR pushing us to leave voluntarily with no compensation, N+6 severance is just absurdly high. It's really pushing the limits of severance pay for foreign companies. According to the agreement, any employees who sign their resignation by June 25th will receive 6 months base salary plus N times their monthly average income. For senior Citi employees, they could walk away with hundreds of thousands of dollars, achieving some financial freedom.
This vlogger said that many people may not believe it, but Citi really did this. Citibank set aside $600 million for global severance, which is far higher than the average in the financial industry. He explained that this layoff is not an isolated incident. It's part of Citi's ongoing restructuring plan. Citi has already done similar restructuring in the US, Indonesia, and the Philippines, cutting expensive office spaces like in Shanghai and Dalian, and only keeping teams that support China's local and Hong Kong businesses. The office locations are now moving to lower-cost regional centers. Citi's strategy in China is now very clear. They're withdrawing from most personal banking services and focusing resources on serving cross-border businesses and institutional clients. After these adjustments, Citi's performance has been unexpectedly good. According to their financial report, Citi's net profit surged 37.4% in 2024, even though they reduced their workforce by 10,000 people. So the layoffs really worked. Citi's goal for 2025 is to continue cutting jobs, shed businesses, and cut another $2.5 billion in costs. It seems like Citi is undergoing a major restructuring and rebirth, but the 3,500 employees in Shanghai and Dalian are just the casualties.
One worrying detail to note, did you notice that this time, all 3,500 employees laid off were tech workers? Beyond the surface story of Citi cutting costs and transforming, could these foreign companies be quietly avoiding the risks of technical localization? In the past, many foreign companies used China as a tech R&D hub, but now it seems they're treating China more like a service center. They're becoming much more cautious and strict about protecting core algorithms.
Analysts pointed out that the blogger hit the nail on the head. In recent years, foreign companies have continued to leave China, with an increasing focus on protecting intellectual property and core data. This shows that foreign businesses, especially American ones, have growing distrust in the Chinese market. On March 1, 2025, IBM closed its R&D departments in China, including research and testing teams in Beijing, Shanghai, and Dalian. Over 1,000 employees left the company. Observers believe that IBM decided to shift its R&D tasks from China to overseas locations, such as Bangalore, India. This move is in response to intensifying competition in the Chinese market, the shrinking infrastructure business, and growing geopolitical tensions between the US and China. The most important reason, however, is the need to protect core technology. On April 7, 2025, Chinese media outlets reported that Microsoft's joint venture in China will stop all its operations starting the very next day. Microsoft's outsourcing team in China will also be terminated, leaving around 2,000 employees unemployed. Microsoft, established in Shanghai in 2002, was Microsoft's first joint venture in China. It has 36 delivery centers worldwide, across China, the US, Europe, and Japan. It employed over 100,000 people from 74 countries. An internal company email that circulated online revealed that Microsoft told employees that due to geopolitical factors and changes in the international business environment, Microsoft would adjust its global strategic layout. The company will actively expand its overseas business in regions like Vietnam, Japan, and Hungary, and it will prioritize offering overseas job opportunities to employees from former Microsoft business lines. According to data from China's State Administration of Foreign Exchange, China's foreign direct investment (FDI) net outflow reached $168 billion in 2024, the highest since records began in 1990, showing a massive exit of foreign capital from the Chinese market. Data from China's Ministry of Commerce shows that in the first quarter of 2025, the net FDI attracted by China was only $14.7 billion, a significant drop of more than 50% from $34 billion in the fourth quarter of 2024. From January to March 2025, the actual foreign investment used in China was $37.4 billion, a 10.8% year-on-year decline, reflecting a continuous drop in foreign confidence in China's market. Analysts noted that when foreign banks first entered China, the Chinese government did not allow them to operate in the RMB personal banking business because local Chinese banks offered much lower service standards. The authorities were concerned that opening personal banking services would significantly impact China's local banks. Later, the Chinese government allowed foreign banks to open some personal banking services, but the conditions set were much stricter than those for local Chinese banks. However, despite these challenges, foreign banks still performed well in the Chinese market, thanks to their superior service and credit compared to Chinese banks. Now, Citi has suddenly laid off all the tech staff involved in personal banking services and is abandoning all personal banking operations, keeping only services for multinational companies and institutions. This move is not only a precaution against the Chinese government's potential theft of technology and data, but also a preparation for the potential full decoupling between China and the US. By keeping its corporate services, Citi is ensuring it can assist US companies in withdrawing their capital from China. On May 12, the United States and China issued a joint statement agreeing to significantly reduce tariffs within 90 days, announcing a suspension of the trade war and entering a period of adjustment. However, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated that this agreement is actually another step in the country's strategic decoupling. He emphasized that the U.S. is not seeking full decoupling from China, but intends to decouple in key strategic materials, such as steel, pharmaceuticals, and semiconductors, which will continue to maintain specific high tariffs. Analysts believe that the U.S.'s current stance of not seeking full decoupling with China is a tactical move. This is because the U.S. has not yet completed the restructuring of its rare earth supply chain, and its car production still relies on China's exports. Additionally, in the case of fentanyl, the U.S. is pressuring the Chinese government to make a clear commitment to stop exporting drugs to the U.S., a commitment China cannot avoid or deflect. As expected, on May 30th, Trump posted a harsh criticism of Beijing for violating the tariff agreement, accusing China of deliberately setting obstacles to restrict rare earth exports. Trump also enacted reciprocal sanctions, announcing restrictions on the export of ethane, butane, and other petrochemical materials to China. China is the largest buyer of U.S. ethane, and the sanctions immediately caused raw material shortages for China's petrochemical plants. At the same time, the U.S. has begun additional sanctions beyond the tariff war, including banning the export of key jet engine components, restricting China's access to semiconductor design software, and imposing new controls on Huawei's Ascend AI chips. The U.S. government also announced it would revoke the visas of Chinese students. On June 4th, at midnight Eastern Time, Trump posted on Truth Social again, mentioning Xi Jinping and stating that she is very tough and very difficult to make agreements with. The post, written with capital letters and 3 exclamation marks, immediately garnered attention. Several media outlets noted that Trump's rare public emphasis on the difficulty of reaching agreements with Xi Jinping might indicate that U.S.-China relations were once again becoming tense. Citi's announcement to close all its personal banking operations in China at this time is also seen as related to the uncertainties emerging during the U.S.-China tariff truce period. Citi may have realized that the full decoupling between China and the U.S. is ultimately unavoidable, and that the truce period could end sooner than expected. Under tremendous pressure from Trump, China had to back down in the rare earth confrontation. On June 6, Trump stated that Chinese leader Xi Jinping had agreed to allow the export of rare earth minerals and magnets to the U.S. When a reporter asked the president if Xi Jinping had agreed to this, Trump replied in the affirmative. Trump and Xi had a 90-minute phone call on June 5th, marking their first official contact since Trump took office this year, aimed at easing the trade tensions caused by China's rare earth export blockade. After the call, Trump emphasized that there should be no doubt about the complexity of the rare earth issue. On June 6, Reuters reported that Beijing had issued temporary rare earth export permits to the suppliers of 3 major U.S. automakers. 2 sources indicated that at least some of those permits are valid for 6 months. It's currently unclear how much of the export quota or which items are covered. One insider revealed that the 3 major U.S. automakers, General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, have been granted access to some rare earth export permits. Some online commentators pointed out that rare earth minerals are China's trump card. China's retreat in the rare earth standoff wasn't because of concerns over domestic economy and livelihoods, but because the U.S. holds more powerful cards. The ongoing measures taken by Trump are reaching the highest echelons of China's elite, affecting their interests. China's petrochemical companies are state-owned enterprises controlled by the elite, and they serve as cash cows for those in power. Many Chinese students studying at prestigious U.S. universities like Harvard are reportedly the illegitimate children of China's elite. Trump's government actions, including restrictions on the export of raw materials to Chinese petrochemical companies and the cancellation of student visas, are seen as targeted strikes against the Chinese Communist Party's elite. At this point, the US and China are effectively in a quasi-war state, with no meaningful concessions likely from either side. The fact that China has issued 6-month rare earth export permits is clearly a move to buy time. There is widespread speculation that Chinese leader Xi Jinping has lost power and is now merely a puppet being used by older Communist Party officials as a figurehead. Trump has tried to invite Xi to visit the U.S. and insisted on having a direct conversation with him, wanting to confirm the situation. Trump needed to verify exactly who he was dealing with. In this context, with the potential for major shifts at the highest level of the Chinese government, it's only logical and prudent for U.S. companies like Citi to accelerate their withdrawal from China. Citi's exit and high severance payments have caused a stir in China, reminiscent of the recent uproar over Mercedes-Benz China. In March, Mercedes-Benz China, part of the globally renowned German luxury car brand, announced layoffs due to significant sales declines. It was reported that the severance package for laid-off employees included N+9 years of service plus 9 months of salary. This sparked heated discussions among Chinese netizens. According to Chinese media, if the laid-off employees fail to find new jobs within 3 or 4 months, Mercedes-Benz would provide an additional 2 months' salary as compensation, meaning the highest severance payment could reach N+11. It was reported that Mercedes-Benz operations in China are divided into 4 major areas: sales services, finance, production, and R&D. The sales service system has the most employees and the most complex operations. The main reason for these layoffs was declining sales, difficulties faced by dealers, or the need to streamline the dealer network. As a result, layoffs were concentrated in the sales and finance sectors. Interestingly, due to the high severance payments, the laid-off employees didn't express significant resistance. Instead, it was the remaining employees who began to worry, as they feared further layoffs might occur, and those laid off later may not receive such generous compensation. It is understood that foreign car companies have accelerated layoffs in the past 2 years. In 2024, both Porsche China and Volkswagen China offered N+6 severance packages, which at the time were mocked by netizens as disrupting market order, because Chinese companies generally do not offer such high compensation for layoffs. Netizens in China lamented that foreign companies are far stronger than domestic ones. If you're laid off by a foreign company, you can at least live comfortably for several years, and you might even achieve a bit of financial freedom. However, if you're laid off by a state-owned enterprise, you can face an immediate survival crisis. Some have been unemployed for a long time and still can't find a job, slowly losing the will to live.
我可能要活不下去了，已经6月初了。
I might not be able to go on much longer. It's already early June, and I still can't find a job. How many others are in the same situation as me? I've been unemployed for 3 months now, lying in my rented room after my shop shut down. Every time I try to find a job, I get rejected because of my low education level. I'm still young, but it feels like my life is on pause. I've lost the courage to look for a job. Every day I lie in my room, watching videos or sleeping. I only eat 1 meal a day now. I watch the balance in my bank account decrease day by day, feeling more and more lost. At 28, I feel like I've failed. A netizen commented, "I'm just like you. I have 40 cents left in my WeChat account, and I don't know what to do." Another commenter wrote, "I don't just have trouble finding a job, I'm also in debt and about to miss a payment." A confident graduate from a prestigious school, who was once part of the high-income crowd, now finds himself suddenly unemployed.
29岁，被裁了，失业了。
I'm 29 years old and I got laid off. After graduating in 2019, I worked in Shanghai, earning an annual salary of 400,000 yuan. Then in 2023, I moved to Changsha and earned 240,000 yuan a year. I thought I was still doing well, but I still got laid off. I was notified just 2 days before the Dragon Boat Festival. When I first heard the news, my mind went blank. I was stunned. I wanted to speak, but I realized I was rambling, so I just took the afternoon off. That afternoon, I sat on the iron chair in front of Starbucks, zoning out for hours, not even knowing what I was thinking. In the following days, I negotiated the severance package with HR. After that, I chose a good date to leave, today, June 6th. Now I'm sitting in my car, about to finish work. Tomorrow, I won't have a job. I don't know what to do next. Aren't layoffs supposed to be a middle-age crisis thing? But I feel like I'm not even middle-aged yet, and I've already gone through something like this. I don't know if anyone else in Changsha is unemployed like me. I thought making this video would be easy, but as I recorded it, I felt a little sad.
A netizen commented, "Being able to earn such a high salary proves that you're an outstanding talent. It just means your boss found someone else who can do your job, but at a lower salary." Someone else wrote, "This isn't your fault. Society is going crazy. Stay in a good mood. Nothing is more important than being alive." Some netizens mentioned that society is indeed spiraling, and while foreign companies also lay off employees, it's rare to see rational analysis about this on the Chinese internet. Posts like this are quickly deleted. The super high severance pay from foreign companies doesn't bring respect or gratitude, but rather envy, jealousy, and resentment from the so-called experts and the 50-cent army. Some even claim that Citi's compensation package is malicious and is meant to buy people's loyalty. In the world under the Chinese Communist Party, right and wrong are often reversed.